All right. Thanks so much. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend and are ready to get started with section 3 of Nonprofit Cloud, tracking impact with program management module. And Kathy and I are your hosts. Thanks so much to Kathy last week for stepping in at the last minute and doing the lesson itself. I appreciate that very much, Kathy. A couple of housekeeping things was everybody able to access the Slack channel. If you weren't, please put a note in the chat and Kathy will work with you to make sure that we get you into that Slack channel. It'll be a great way to collaborate between each other and amongst each other and ask questions of us as well. So every week we'll be posting the slide deck. The homework and the video will be on the last slide of the slide deck, and it'll be posted at the link that you see there, the sflamasite.com NP-class. So if you miss a class, usually I get it posted tomorrow just because it takes a bit to get the slide deck updated with the video and get it on there. But if you miss a week, you can always catch up. You can share it with friends. It's available to everybody. I also would ask that you all do this little survey, and I'll give it to you again at the end of class, so you don't have to do it now, but just so that we kind of have an idea of how things are going so far and how we can make this better in the future. So today's focus, we really want to take a look at the building blocks for the program management module, the basic premises and use cases for the program management module, and then how you can extend the use of the program management module. I mean, you know, nonprofits are more than just fundraisers. Programs are what fundraisers actually fund. You know, the programs are really why nonprofits exist. So the Nonprofit Cloud Program Management Module can connect your programs and the impact it has based on the funds you're raising. So how do you track program engagement or the delivery of the service that your nonprofit provides? Are you managing a single program or multiple programs? Learning the basics of the PMM is how we abbreviate it, and understanding how to leverage the program management module for service delivery, as well as expanding upon the module to meet other needs, is going to be our focus. So our goal is to learn the basics of PMM, right? It will be fairly high level. We're not actually going to install it today. We're doing all the measuring twice and 3 and 4 times before we actually get started on building, right? That's best practices. So we want to understand when and how to utilize the program management module as the foundation of an organization's needs. We'll get into some specific details or use cases in the next section. But let's get started on the actual building blocks of the program management module that extends NPSP. So how many different nonprofits can you think of? 10, 20, 100? And how many of them do exactly the same thing in exactly the same way? Probably 0. That's my experience. And you can imagine how flexible the program management module has to be able to be configured to meet those needs. So we want to learn the basics of the program management module and understand where we can use that. This diagram looks fairly complex, and I don't know how big your screen is. When you actually get your hands on the slide deck itself, you can enlarge it and see it. But you'll see that the blue objects are the standard account and contact objects. And the ones in green are the 8 specific custom Salesforce objects that make up the program management module. So they're designed to work in conjunction with standard Salesforce accounts and contacts, and of course, within the household account model of Nonprofit Success Pack. These objects help define the programs that the nonprofit provides, but they also track engagement with those programs. They correlate services and track who, what, when, where, and how many, which is where that impact actually comes from. So don't let this initial starting model overwhelm you, right? We're going to break it down by objects. So to write them out in a different way, The program is a little bit of the mother of all these objects, right? So it's the areas of work that make up a nonprofit's mission. The program engagement is like a junction object, like a regular standard Salesforce junction object that connects programs and contacts. The program cohorts you can equate in your brain to campaigns, and they're used to group those program engagements. So I would consider this class a cohort, right? That is grouped to this particular, the group of people is connected to this instance of the class, which falls under the program itself, right? Services are the actual activities. So you have service deliveries, which are those individual instances of a service. Again, it's a junction object that actually connects service and contact. Service schedules recreate recurring service sessions. Service sessions are the single instance of a delivery of that program. And then service participants connect the service schedules and the contacts. And again, I know it sounds a little bit convoluted, but I think you'll get a better understanding of how it all fits together when we look at it from the use case scenario. If you have a minute, I would, when we get ready to actually install Nonprofit Success Pack and the program management module, this case is the schema builder. So if that's more comfortable for you to see, I'm a very visual person. I like to see how all those lines connect and intersect and work together to relate each of these objects to each other. And then this is actually an entity relationship diagram that I exported from a Salesforce instance into Lucidchart. And again, you can see the things that connect. The junction objects are in the purple, the red are the programs, the blue are the services related. So just a couple of different ways to look at it, and however makes the most sense to you. The basic premises and use cases are what is really going to be critical for you as you start working with your instance or your customers to figure out exactly what you want to do, right? So one use case is if you have one organization that provides a lot of different programs. So you think about a nonprofit that has an immediate needs program. They, get people food, or they get them a ride somewhere, or they get them a place to stay overnight. But then they may also have a career counseling program, a training to build skills program, a housing program where they work with clients to get them into a long-term housing situation, and then even a program for ongoing support. So how do you manage all those different programs with the program management architecture? Again, back to my visualization, right? So here's the nonprofit organization itself. Here's each of its programs, right, in the black circles. Each of those programs may or may not have, excuse me, specific services that they offer, right? So the immediate needs, a bus pass, a food pantry. Charles is the contact, and then the cohort is here in the pink. So Charles right now has been assessed. He's related to the organization where he's had this assessment. They've decided the immediate needs program is what he needs to be involved in at this moment. And of the specific services they offer in immediate needs, the food pantry and the bus passes are the things that he needs. It may be that later on, he also needs a line drawn from his name to training to build skills or housing, and it may be the temporary housing that he has most need of. But through all of this, you can see that because of the interrelated and connectivity of the program management module, you can track by client and by program and even by the individual services themselves what is happening in those situations. So another use case is when you're tracking organization to organization services. So in this case, we're not trying to necessarily initially track by the client themselves, the contact, but by another organization. So a lot of nonprofits work with external partners, right, to help implement their programs and their service delivery. So how do you track those connections? Using the organization accounts instead of contacts or households, the participating organization, like a church, is connected to the program engagement to deliver services via a service delivery. And I know this happens a lot with Habitat for Humanity, for example. They partner with a lot of churches and also with a lot of businesses. But with the churches they partner with, they often deliver registration services via a church. They deliver educational services, at a church, via a church, staffed by church volunteers. So this is a way to have all the stakeholder impact included in one place. Another use case, so services to others, right? So the doggy and the horse, I don't know if you've ever been involved with organizations that say train dogs for companionship for older folks, right? How do you track the training that the human and the dog both receive, right? Or if volunteers are training dogs to be associated with specific clients in your system. I can think of several organizations that work with horses for the benefit of young people. How do you track the impact that's being made? The participant in this case is a horse or a dog, and it can be a custom object that interacts with the program management module. So in the little swim lanes here, you see the service delivery, the service, right? And in this case, they are working with homeless folks with their animals that they have, right? They have companions and vet services and checkups and immunizations. The program engagement is between the dog, Luna in this case, right? And the animal services and assessment. Charles, the contact, is completely out of the swim lane, but the participant, which is a custom object, in this case, the pet, the animal, they're tracking one checkup per year per animal. They're tracking Luna, the Belgian Shepherd, who is receiving these services, but they indirectly benefit Charles. So it's almost like a soft credit to Charles. If you're familiar with the term in fundraising of soft credit, it's almost the same in a service delivery situation. So extending the use of the program management module. And I'm really interested when we get to the Q&A here at the end to hear some of your thoughts and what you might have ideas for on how you might use the program management module. One way to extend it is with a paid product from Salesforce called the Nonprofit Cloud Case Management. And we're not going to dig into it today in depth, but it's designed for better long-term client engagement and management. So case management includes a new set of custom objects and processes to track intakes, referrals, clients, client notes, case plans, and assessments specifically designed for human services organizations. It has a high level of complexity and is very robust. It provides pre-configured templates for client intake, a case manager homepage with upcoming client meetings, tasks, or incidents. That's what you see here. It also lets you create case notes from a pre-configured template. And you can save time tracking recurring services and attendance. You can create case plans and record assessments. And we're going to dig deeper into this tool in the next chapter. But don't confuse Nonprofit Cloud Case Management with Salesforce's standard Service Cloud Case Object, because it is different. And we'll talk about that, like I say, in much more detail in the next chapter. So, excuse me. Summarizing just the program management module itself, I want us to go back and look again at these 8 objects, right? You don't have to use them all. I would encourage you to take a look at the data dictionary that's listed on the next page. Another good option for understanding what parts and pieces fall under each of these specific custom objects and where you would track things. If you have a hard time, for me, it's easier to draw it out myself. If I actually take a pencil and paper and draw it on paper so that you understand how everything correlates and connects. You really need to have a good understanding of this, at least at a high level, before the next chapter will make sense. Then when we install it, you're going to learn even more. And in the homework, excuse me, the Trailhead badges, the service delivery with program management module, and the nonprofit cloud case management basics will go a long way toward helping you understand the additional resources that are here. You'll see the Salesforce Quip. That's the objects and fields that are super, super helpful just to read through and look at it and see what's going on there. Thursday, December 1st at 3 p.m. Eastern time will be our office hours. Kathy will be hosting those for us. And then I'll put the link to the video replay of this part of the session on the slide deck when I post it on the page at Llama Site tomorrow. I'm going to end the recording